Folks, welcome back to another episode of The Fallen Badge. Today, the murder of Trooper Bruce Smalls, South Carolina Highway Patrol. Trooper Smalls was 30 years old. He had 9 years with the South Carolina Highway Patrol. He had a wife and he had 2 sons. Now, he was also a United States Army veteran, been involved in the Vietnam War. It's September 1985. Fellas traveling down to Florida. Well, he's coming through I-95 and going through the Carolinas. Now, he's driving a big old RV. So now somewhere there in North Carolina, he stops and picks up the suspect. Well, now they just keep on traveling. So this poor victim, he stops and he picks up 2 more hitchhikers, a man and a woman. So now the group, they just continue on down I-95. So they make a pit stop here or there, one time in Florence County and another in Clarendon County in South Carolina. Now, in Clarendon County, our first victim, he parks along the interstate there to get him some shut-eye. Now, while he's asleep, the suspect shoots him with a .357 Magnum. Now, the suspect and the other male hitchhiker, they wrapped the victim's body in blankets and sheets. They tied it with wire, and they hid the body inside the RV underneath a mattress. So now the suspect and this male and female, they continue on their way in the RV. And it'd probably be easier just to call them all suspects now, because they're definitely all involved in a homicide and a carjacking. Now the suspect, he's driving the RV. Well, now unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, he gets to drinking, and his driving begins to become a little erratic. In fact, so much so that other motorists are seeing this RV weaving back and forth in the lanes of I-95, so they call the troopers there in South Carolina. Trooper Smalls, he gets in behind the RV and he gets it stopped. He gets it stopped just a few miles north of the South Carolina-Georgia border. Now, according to one of the suspects, this is basically what happened. But now let me let you know that according to resource material, all 3 of the suspects basically blamed somebody else for the homicide of the first victim and for the homicide of Trooper Smalls. But this is one version of the story that I'm going to go with. Now, Trooper Smalls gets the RV pulled over. Trooper Smalls comes up and he knocks on the door. Of course, on that RV now, that door is going to be on the side away from the interstate, which would make it safer for the trooper. But now it also blocks off any view of any passerbys that there's trouble brewing. So he knocks on the door. Now the suspect, he opens the door and he asks the trooper if he wants to come inside the RV. It's Trooper Smalls, according to this version of the story, he starts to walk up the steps. There's probably like 2 or 3 steps. Now, as Trooper Smalls is starting to come up the steps, the suspect fires a round, hits Trooper Smalls. Trooper Smalls then tries to pull his pistol out of his holster. Suspect fires 2 more rounds. Now, Trooper Smalls, according to this version of the story, basically just fell, sat down on the steps with his body leaning against the door of the RV. And the suspect advised he's pretty sure the trooper was dead. The suspect then kicked Trooper Mays out of the RV. Now, I understand that to mean basically took his foot and shoved him out. Now, as Trooper May is laying there on the side of the interstate, don't know if he's still alive or not. Suspect shoots Trooper Mays a couple more times. Now, resource material indicated he was shot 6 times, so that would have emptied that .357. Now, the male and female hitchhiker, they ran down the interstate. I don't know if that meant south or north. Now, this one version says that they had the pistol. Now, the version of the story indicates that the male and female hitchhiker ran in one direction, and the suspect that was eventually convicted of Trooper Mays' murder, he ran in another direction. Now, resource material indicates that this suspect still had possession of the murder weapon for both homicides, is my understanding. They're all eventually taken into custody. They all end up in either prison or a mental ward somewhere. Now, the suspect is convicted of Trooper Small's murder. He's also convicted of the murder of the owner of the RV. 2002, May the 3rd, suspect is executed by lethal injection. Trooper Bruce Kenneth Smalls. End of watch, September 27th, 1985.